The season is officially on the line for the Tennessee Volunteers after the Wake Forest Demon Deacons walk it off in the bottom of the ninth. A bases-loaded walk gives them that 7-6 win, and it really was a game where it was punch for punch, and Wake Forest was hanging tough this entire game. It needed some extra life from the Tennessee Volunteers to keep this a close game, which isn't exactly how you expected it to go with how many extra innings that the Wake Forest Demon Deacons had to play to get to this point. And now it's a winner-take-all. Your season continues on Monday. Certainly not a place that you thought Tennessee would be. You think you come into this game with a little bit of extra leeway and some grace, knowing that your opponent has to win too. Well, they sneak one from you in the bottom of the ninth, and now your season is suddenly on the line in a game where you otherwise didn't think that would happen. But when you look to the ninth inning, it's 3 up, 3 down, top of the order for Tennessee, and that doesn't happen very often. If someone wants to go look at the stats, I don't know the last time those three had struck out in order, and then Wake Forest able to get the bases loaded, and then, 4 straight balls, and it's a walk-off for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. For Tennessee, really the sentiment of the team is that they feel anxious to get back out onto the field. They don't want their season to be over. They continue to emphasize how special of a group this is. Maybe if I'm reading too much into it, I'm not sure, but it certainly seemed that Brandon Arvidsson had a little bit of emotion behind his voice today, talking about how special the group is and how much he really has enjoyed playing for them and how much fight they have within the team. And certainly something you want to be able to replicate on a winner-take-all game on Monday for Wake Forest. It's, whatever plan they think that they're going to come up with, they have full confidence that Tennessee will have their hands full with it, especially with how much energy and fire that they played with today. But I think if you maybe want to look to the positives and where Tennessee is continuing to grow, I don't think this team is panicking because of the situation that they're in or that they can't come back from it. And, how did they let that happen? I mean, they just bested them in the ninth inning, and I think that's maybe where you see the advantage of being the home team, and maybe why there's sometimes that outrage of, how are you hosting the regional and you're not even the home team? It certainly allows you to be in a different mindset when you maybe even flip it. Some of the positives is that the bats, they're coming alive, and they have a bullpen that is full of fighters. If you want to talk about Andrew Fisher and his 2-run jack that he had, just over the batter's eye, I think it was like 430 some feet, and he was absolutely electric in that performance. Levi Clark finally gets his, and he's been due for a home run for such a long time, and I think his went into the Tennessee bullpen for his 2-run home run to tie the game at 6, and those are certainly types of production that you want to see continue, and it's people like Andrew Fisher that has turned into a really vocal leader for this team, despite it being his first year with the program. He's somebody that's active on X or Twitter, wanting Vol fans to get involved in the game and wanting them to be louder. And he's maybe even kind of challenged everybody to be 2 times louder in the game on Monday, and that, you all shouldn't have to get an invite to want to be loud and to cheer, but he just remembers old games and how deafening Vol fans can be. And for Brandon Arvidsson, who came in, I think it was like in that 3rd inning, and he gets 2 strikeouts to close it, but then in the next 2 innings, he gives up a combined 5 runs, one of them being on a home run. He's starting to feel a little down on himself, but when he sees his teammates like Levi Clark and Andrew Fisher hitting those types of home runs, he's like, you can't feel sorry for yourself because you have guys that are going to have your back. And Andrew Fisher especially has been someone who's been a really loud cheerleader for this team. It's someone we've talked about a number of times on this channel, and it's that kind of energy and delivering in clutch moments is what they're going to need, especially tomorrow against Wake Forest. And you'd have to hope and imagine that with how many fewer games Tennessee's had to play and how many fewer innings that they've had to play, that would certainly play to their advantage, being a bit more fresh, still being at home, not having to be that road team kind of vibe. But I just think Wake Forest bested them in the end. They just had the right types of pitch, able to square it up a little bit. I know Vitello, when we talked yesterday, talked about maybe the vibes need to be a little bit better, and maybe that does come down to those plate approaches and what they maybe need to tweak in those moments, because you could go back to the 7th inning where they had a couple of runners on. You had them on. There's so many bucks here, I'm not even going to cut that. You had, a couple of guys on there as I kind of lose my train of thought. It's, 2 on Keelan and Inslee, and then Curley walks, it's 2 outs, and then Chapman gets struck out. So you had an opportunity there just to try and even bat somebody in. So maybe it's readjusting certain plate approaches, not necessarily all on Reese Chapman, but it's certainly worth maybe dissecting a little bit throughout the lineup and what you're going to do with your season on the line. Vitello says he's not going to try and out-strategize anybody, but maybe you need a little bit more strategy coming into technical rubber match kind of game for Tennessee, and hopefully they'll be able to pull it out. But we shall see how much more on Tennessee coming up tomorrow before the game. And of course, the Lady Vols, if you didn't see it, walked it off against UCLA in an otherwise dramatic game. I have that back on the homepage as well. I'll talk to you guys later.